All right, and welcome back to episode 30 of the Alec Frengos Show. This is a sports podcast centered around NBA and NFL. And today I'm joined by Joey Price, Jay Price, and via phone call, Coach Dylan Carnduff. And I had to especially bring in Dylan here because I couldn't really miss him out just due to the last time he was on the podcast and his takes that could have been questionable. Some people agreed with. So we had to bring him on no matter where he is, no matter if he's across the country, if he's here in this basement, etc. So honestly, Dylan, we'll let you go at it right away. First thing we'll talk about, is it over for the Buffalo Bills?
So, first of all, Alec, thanks again for having me back on the pod. I'm a big fan of the show. Obviously, I've been a featured guest on it, but I did some thinking, and I did some reflecting back on the kind of NFL pre-show we did back in the summer.
For sure.
And I don't think I was too far off. So
wow.
if you look at what Josh Allen's been able to do, Dan Orlovsky put out a stat. Josh Allen's only had 3 interceptions this year that have truly fallen on him.
I saw that, but there's a lot of QBs that you can go into and say there's a lot of reasons why these QBs have throwaway turnovers and stuff, right? It is a turnover at the end of the day. You could go dissect every single one. I feel like he's just trying to single out Josh Allen because he's trying to defend him.
Exactly. And, Josh Allen deserves to be defended. There's no denying what he's been able to do in the league the last, really since he came in. But if you look at the Bills' losses, they've been heartbreakers. They haven't really been right since they beat up on that Dolphins team. They had so much emotion going in that game. The Dolphins came off that 70-point win. And, I was at that game where the Bills absolutely dismantled the Miami Dolphins. And, by the way, haven't beat a team over 500 in, 2 years.
Yep.
Nonetheless, that kind of felt like a game that was different. And I think the Bills put a lot of their energy into that. And they were able to play with just raw adrenaline where there were major flaws in the team. So, I just missed my turn. But Ken Dorsey has been fired, obviously. That's where we're at. They've shaken up the offense. They were running a very low-level Canadian high school football offense with no creativity team. It was downright embarrassing that was even allowed to be put onto a product that was allowed to be put on an NFL field. So I predicted the Bills to go 16-1. I thought they were going to lose to the New York Giants,
which they should have.
Bills.
They should have lost that game.
Pardon me?
They should have lost that game, as you predicted.
They should have lost that game. So that was the one prediction that I hit on the head. But it really started Jacksonville. Look at Jacksonville when they went overseas. Jacksonville was there for 2 weeks prior, and the Bills coaching staff and kind of team organizers admitted, guys, we did this wrong.
Yeah, I agree. So, and then you saw people.
Next collective bargaining agreement, mark my words, international games will be abolished. These will not exist anymore.
Really?
They will not.
Call it out.
It's too hard to do that mid-season travel, and you go over there and you're playing on rock-hard turf.
Yeah. When all the soccer fields are have to be grass.
The NFL doesn't care, though.
Tottenham Hotspur Stadium is the grass field, but
yeah.
Tottenham was so worried about the field getting beaten up too bad for their terrible soccer team that they wouldn't let them play.
Yeah, no. So, on the other hand of this Bills game, the loss to the Broncos, Joey right here was actually in attendance for the game. I'm surprised you're not repping Broncos country right now, but what's kind of this feeling right now of the Broncos? They beat the Chiefs bye week, beat the Bills, and now the Broncos country is finally riding, it looks like. So what's kind of the direction here, and how do you see this Broncos team panning out for the rest of the year?
Well, I think the Broncos season is actually alive now, and I think they're going to be making a playoff push.
Wow.
Because you see at the start of the season, we give up 70 to the Dolphins, lose 2 crucial games to the Commanders and the Raiders late. And now the defense is starting to turn around. Our offense it's been mediocre, but I think it can be good too.
It's been good enough for the season.
Yeah, and going into Buffalo and getting a win is big because I was at the game, like you said, and it was a rowdy crowd. It's hard to win there, and they did it. So, yeah.
Are the Broncos going to make the playoffs?
Joey, I was going to ask you, what was the atmosphere like? I wasn't there. What was the kind of emotion or kind of feeling out of Bills fans?
Leaving the stadium, they were pissed, and I thought I was actually going to get punched, to be honest. But, yeah, like, the stadium was pretty silent when the Broncos hit the field goal.
What were you expecting, Dylan?
You and I were texting about Alec. I was expecting like another, not 70-point performance, but like a 50-plus point performance with the coach staff wanting to pull Josh Allen in the fourth quarter, but him being in such a groove that they just couldn't.
Yeah, no, but
obviously it didn't go that way. Right from the start, it was doomed. I mean,
the first play turnover.
Yeah.
And he was arguably their best player on offense on Monday night, and he just did not get the snaps that he deserved. Unfortunately, McDermott is punishing the wrong people.
You're talking about James Cook?
Yeah.
Okay, so what I was kind of asking towards is, what do you think that emotion was like if you were to predict it, if Joey didn't know what it was like walking out of that stadium?
Oh, I would have thought that, yeah, it was a quiet group. You could hear the boos on TV, and then the Bills, as they always do, they bring you right back into the game, and then they let you down.
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
We saw it, the game where they absolutely laid an egg against Cincinnati in the divisional round last year.
Yeah. So, moving on more towards the Broncos, I'm gonna ask you, Jay. Do you think this can be a team that can sneak into a wild card spot here?
I mean, in my opinion, if they're in the NFC, I would say yes for sure.
Yeah.
I think this year they got off to too slow of a start. I don't know what the rest of their schedule looks like, but I think there is a chance. If I had to guess yes or no, I would definitely say no, just based off of, I'm assuming I don't know what their strength of schedule is again, but they beat the Bills and the Chiefs, so who's no, or what's, like, I don't know, they could beat anybody, really.
Exactly, literally, yeah.
So
that's what Sean Payton said. He's not really intimidated going into this game. They just beat the Kansas City Chiefs, the reigning Super Bowl champs, right? So, is the biggest impact of the Broncos, why the difference from last year to this year, is it Sean Payton?
I think it's a combination of that, and I think Russell Wilson's mindset as well.
Okay.
Because I think we all know about the memes last year of him having his own office in the stadium, and all the players didn't really like him.
Yeah. But
But I feel like a lot of people have bought into Russ and Peyton, and I think the team atmosphere is a lot better from what I'm seeing on TV
better.
and on social media, and it seems like the guys are kind of rallying around Russ a lot more than they did last year.
Because, to be honest, all these Broncos players, they know, really, if you trade or buy out Russell Wilson, there's nothing that's going to happen. Your team's just going to reset into the same thing, right? Yeah. So they kind of had to rally around that. You bring Sean Payton in, and what he's done, he's played to his players' strengths the whole year. Russell Wilson, he's not cutting him loose, acting like he's going to be prime Seattle Russell Wilson. They're running the ball first. They're pounding the rock. Yeah. And then when they have to throw heavy play action, Russell Wilson, that touchdown to Cortland Sutton, that was prime Russell Wilson. When you give him limited opportunities, he's not going to feel like he's has many amounts of pressure to make game-changing plays, right? So Russell Wilson, he has that. He's had that in him, that ability to throw on the run and put balls in a bucket, basically. But you saw that again. Yeah. They didn't give him. How many times did they make him roll out and throw a bomb downfield? Not a lot. I think the discipline Sean Payton has put on Russell Wilson has been a huge game changer for how the Broncos play, I think. Yeah. What do you think?
I just like how the offense, like last year, was like Nathaniel Hackett was just forcing way too much stuff, trying to get these like rookie receivers to buy into his new scheme, and it honestly didn't work at all. And now Sean Payton just going back to the fundamentals, back to the run game, and then the run game will eventually open up the pass game. Like this week against the Vikings, I'm expecting run, play action to Judy. He's going to have a big game.
You think so? What do you think? So, Dylan, why are the Broncos kind of turning their season around? What's your input?
I think I agree with Jay and Joey's points there, where Russell's getting comfortable in the system. Sean Payton's a very experienced coach. They're playing to Russ's strengths and the offensive strength. He's like you said, Alec. He's not the Russell Wilson we saw in Seattle, but I think their turnaround and success has come with mindset and then also kind of playing to those strengths.
Agree.
So, moving on from that point, there's a big football game tonight. The Cincinnati Bengals travel to the Baltimore Ravens, but a few key players are missing in this game. No Marlon Humphrey, no Ronnie Stanley, no Sam Hubbard, no Trey Hendrickson, no T. Higgins at the end of the day. So a couple Pro Bowlers and All-Pros are bagged up for this one, but predictions for tonight's game, what are you looking at for the outcome? I'll start with you, Jay.
I think it's just going to be a classic AFC North matchup. I think it's going to come down to the wire like always. Personally, I think I'm going to take the Ravens. I just don't see Cincinnati's offense being as productive without Higgins. I know he hasn't been super big this year, but
he's still a threat.
Yeah, he's still a threat, and he's definitely opened some things up. I'm sure I've said it before, but I hate Joe Mixon. I think he's horrible, so I don't think that they'll be able to run the ball really well either. And I just think Ravens defense is just insanely good. Even with Humphrey out, they got the best linebackers in the league in my opinion. And they're just schemed and coached so well.
Yeah.
And also shout out Kyle Hamilton, Notre Dame alumni. He's great. He had that pick 6 last week.
Yeah,
so
nice.
I got Ravens by 3.
Okay. For me, the Ravens, that's one thing that people were worrying about. Humphrey was going to be out the first couple of weeks. Their secondary's thin. They'll lose a couple because of that. For me, it wasn't really... I didn't really take it into a huge account. There's a couple teams in the NFL that will always, always, always have a good defense just based off of the coaching and the culture. Yeah. Ravens, Saints, Cleveland Browns, Patriots, etc. like that.
Too,
Steelers, of course. They'll always have a good defense as long as their head coaches are there and as long as a couple of the key veterans or rookies drafted around 2017 that have kind of impacted that team are there. So for me, Lamar Jackson, he's known to be one of my favorite players in the NFL. But we've seen him win big games in the regular season. It really comes down to what he wins in the playoffs to really evaluate him as a borderline top 3 quarterback, top 5 quarterback in the NFL. So tonight, I'm honestly looking at the Bengals don't have 2 key D-line pieces. I'm looking for the Ravens to run the ball a lot. It's really just DJ Reader, Miles Murphy in there, I believe.
I don't think he's done much this
a couple
year either,
other guys, right? So the Ravens could pound the rock. I'm looking for a big Jamar Chase game tonight, though. Yeah. He hasn't done a lot. I'm going to see a lot of receptions for him. But my ultimate, I'm going to go 17-13 Baltimore Ravens. Super, super low scoring game, but that's what it always is in the NFC. No matter the injuries on defense, it's always going to be a hard-nosed battle. Go ahead, Joey.
I actually think it'll be a different kind of game. I think it'll actually be really high scoring this game. I think Burrow and Lamar, although I think they'll both put
you're known
games.
Here to be a Ravens hater, so that's
fine.
I
am. I think they both have big games. I think the offenses will, get their momentum going early without 2 key edge rushers for the Bengals. The Ravens, like you said, will be able to run. Lamar should have a big game on the ground too. Mm-hmm. And then Jamar Chase, you said it, I'm hammering his receptions tonight. I think he gets fed. And I think the Bengals will win 28-24.
Wow, okay. Dylan, thoughts?
So, again, similar to Joey being a Baltimore Ravens hater, I'm a perennial Cincinnati Bengals hater.
Ooh. Not many people hate them, so.
The Bengals. I hate the Bengals. I hate Joe Burrow. He's a good player. I think he's overrated.
Wow.
I'm picking the Baltimore Ravens. I hate the Ravens too. I think they suck, but I think this will be a scrappy game. 2 fraudulent teams going at it on Thursday Night Football as we continuously see in prime time.
Yeah.
I'm picking the Baltimore Ravens to squeeze out 21-16 win.
24-16? What was that?
21-16.
Okay.
Possible scoregami. Someone's going to have to look that up. Possible scoregami.
Oh.
What does that mean?
It's like a once in
that score's never happened before.
That's well, if there's any teams to have that score, it'd be like a Patriots Jets or one of the AFC North games. So you're in the car with Stevie?
Yeah, my buddy Steven.
What's his analysis on the game, Steven?
Yeah, I think the Ravens have been rolling, obviously, the last few weeks here. Bengals getting their feet under them this year as well, coming up and previously as well. So I think you got two teams right now that are feeling pretty good about themselves. I think this would be a different prediction if this was the playoffs right now.
Absolutely.
Like Dill, I actually like both of these teams, but I'm feeling the Ravens again tonight. And I think it's going to be a high-scoring game, and I think the Thursday nighter, Al Michaels kind of needs a good game here. So
I agree.
For that, so.
Yeah, I think you made a very good point. If this was the playoffs, not like if this was a first-round playoff matchup, I'd be definitely, as much of a Lamar fan I would definitely be taking the Cincinnati Bengals. And we talk teams full strength playoff game. I'm taking the Bengals. They got the quarterback that as much as you guys hate him, he does have ice in his veins. I think that he's just born to win the big games, it seems like. So I think the regular season prime time, the Ravens came off a tragic loss last week where they just blew it away. Bengals obviously came off a bad loss, but I think choking in the fourth quarter like the Ravens always do is just going to haunt them. So I'm looking for a Ravens win. You're looking for a Ravens win. Coach Dylan, Ravens win. Steven, Ravens win. Joey, Bengals win. Per usual, hating on the Ravens. Which, talking about who the Bengals played last week, CJ Stroud, he's kind of came into the NFL. We talked about it in the first couple of weeks that he kind of broke onto the scene early. Will he sustain it? And he has proved that he has sustained it. I think you could comfortably call him near the top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL this year for sure. And we're going to play Would You Rather CJ Stroud. Both you guys can give us your answer here, Dylan. First name, Dak Prescott. Go ahead, Joey.
Dak Prescott.
I'm going to take Dak as well.
Go ahead, Dylan.
I'm taking CJ Stroud.
Steven?
Dak Prescott, if CeeDee Lamb's his receiver, CJ Stroud otherwise.
Okay. Wait.
What?
He's taking so I think he misunderstood. I think he thinks he's getting Dak and CeeDee Lamb.
No, I'm only taking Dak, and CeeDee Lamb is also coming with him.
Oh, okay. So, both quarterbacks, just their pure talent. Who are you taking?
I'm taking CJ Stroud.
Yeah, same. I've been a huge CJ Stroud guy. I've said we didn't have this podcast pre-draft, but he was my number one on my board. I'm going to ride out with him. I'm going to go CJ Stroud over Dak Prescott right now. Next name, Russell Wilson. Go ahead, Joey.
I'm going to go CJ Stroud.
Same as me.
Dylan?
Russell Wilson. I mean, you can't deny his Super Bowl experience. He's won. He's done it. I'm going Russell Wilson.
No bias. They beat your favorite team?
Hey, just more respect on his name.
Okay.
I think that's this is a no-brainer. That's a ridiculous take, taking Russell Wilson at this point. CJ Stroud.
Yeah, I have to go CJ Stroud. He just seems like that IQ test should never be taken again. Talk about the bargaining agreement, Dylan. They got to take that out. Do you agree?
Absolutely. There's a lot of adjustments that need to be made to that bargaining agreement, including turf eradicated from the NFL. All grass fields.
Are you with that, Joey?
Yeah.
Jay?
Oh, yeah. Of course.
Steven, all grass?
All grass, all the way.
Yeah, I think all grass. Because if the players want it, they're playing on it. Just give them all grass. And I don't know. I've never been on an NFL turf, but like turf don't seem that bad when you play on it. But
It's going to be good quality.
I guess like perfect grass is like feels
Ideal.
great probably. So yeah, next a couple more names here. Next one, Jalen Hurts. This is just their pure talent.
Jalen
That's a good
Hurts.
I'm going to take Hurts as well.
Go ahead, Dylan.
That's possibly the toughest question you've ever asked on the pod.
Can I tell you my reasoning quickly?
Here, I'll tell you. I'm going CJ Stroud.
Okay, go ahead, Steven.
Jalen Hurts.
The problem with me with CJ Stroud, I think he's the hardest player in the NFL to evaluate. Why do I think that? I think that they got the best O-line. He's a running QB. They get the one obviously they're the only team that can run it, but the tush push gives them an extra down, basically. They're playing for 9 yards. They got one of the best run games because of the O-line. He's got good weapons. He's got a good defense where he doesn't have to be in a shootout every game. It's just so hard to rate his individual talent just because of how good everybody around him is. You see, like, all these other teams, they don't have perfect teams. Mahomes doesn't have a perfect O-line sometimes. He doesn't have the perfect defense sometimes. He doesn't have a number 1 wide receiver, although people call Kelsey that. He doesn't have the best run game. Herbert doesn't. Herbert's playing with hospital weapons right now and college receivers. Like, there's just so many flaws every team has. It just seems like the Eagles don't have one. That's why Hurts along with Brock Purdy, they're super hard to evaluate for me. But if I'm saying based off their talent, I would go C.J. Stroud. I just think that look at his ability on this team that was a bottom 2 team, I believe, last year. He's showing out and he's playing out of his mind, and he doesn't got much to help him. Nico Collins, Tank Dell obviously has been impressive, but come on, that's nowhere close to the Philadelphia Eagles weaponry. Is it close for you?
Yeah, well, I think if you ask me this at the end of the season and Stroud keeps his pace,
If he makes the playoffs,
and
what does it take?
Not even
Just
that.
the stats?
I just think if he keeps playing as he is right now and he continues how he's playing, then I think it's a conversation because Hurts hasn't been on the top of his game this year.
But he still just looks good because they're winning games.
I know.
He's getting his rushing touchdowns.
But also, like, early in his career, too, Hurts wasn't very good. Like, his first and second year when he didn't have
when they
this
lost to the
magical
Buccaneers.
team. Yeah. He wasn't really that good. He had to have all the pieces come together and it to almost be perfect for him to succeed. So
100%.
It's definitely a conversation, I think.
Dylan, how do you kind of look at this one?
I look at it similar to the way you spoke to it, Alec, where Jalen Hurts has Devonta Smith. He's got DeAndre Swift, who's had an excellent year. He's got the best O-line in the NFL. He's got, obviously, A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert. Nick Sirianni is a great coach. The expectations of the Houston Texans was possibly for them to go 0-16 this year. C.J. Stroud on talent alone has been able to carry this team to a different level, and currently they're
Broke up a little bit. Can you hear me?
Oh.
Dylan has entered a tunnel, possibly. But what do you?
We are in the middle of.
All right, you're back now. Go ahead.
I think
he's in a
That
freaking.
hill just killed us.
There we go. You're back.
All right, sorry about that.
You're good.
But, can you hear me?
Yeah.
We are in the middle. We're just outside Buffalo right now. We just went down a hill. We're in the middle of absolute nowhere.
Are you going to Highmark?
No, we're actually heading down to New Jersey for the weekend. So.
All right, so you think the same. He's got perfect weapons. He just has to do the right. He doesn't have to elevate his team in a way where C.J. Stroud has to.
Exactly.
100%. What do you think? You think it's kind of the same thing?
I think it's the same thing. It's kind of hard to evaluate each quarterback because they have different weapons, different help around them. But one thing about C.J. Stroud, I don't think he keeps up this pace for the rest of the season. I think he will turn into what we think a rookie quarterback will be in the next couple weeks.
Ooh, okay.
And I don't think he'll be in the MVP race or the Texans will be a playoff team.
For C.J. Stroud to win the MVP, I think for me, 1, he has to keep these stats up.
Yeah.
And 2, I think he has to win the division over Trevor Lawrence. If he can win the division and keep up the stats,
he wins.
I think that's an MVP for me. What does he have to do, Dylan?
Oh, that's tough. He's got to stay on this pace, which I just don't think is sustainable for a NFL rookie quarterback. It's a 17-game season. It's going to be tough. Will he win an MVP someday? I think he's proven that he can and he will.
Absolutely.
That'll come in his career.
Yeah, no, I think it's going to be super difficult for him to win it. The last one was Jim Brown in 1957, if I'm not mistaken. It's super hard, especially when you have guys like Mahomes running the table right now. Hurts is honestly my front runner just based off of he's going to have the best team record. His stats are going to come eventually here after this bye week too, after being a little bit banged up with the knee. You even got to put, if Joe Burrow can win this game and go on a little run, even Lamar Jackson, whoever wins this game, kind of jumps in an MVP level tier here. So you just got to watch out for the top guys who they're obviously going to look at. last name here. I think this is a super, super close one. Your guy, Jared Goff. Go ahead, Joey.
I think I'm going to go with Jared Goff.
Okay, why? Give me an explanation.
I just think he's... Well, it's kind of hard to base. Like, if I'm basing off the whole season, I think Jared Goff's been better for, like, the whole season.
Yeah.
And I think Jared Goff can execute a system better than C.J. Stroud can right now.
Yeah.
I'm just going to take the veteran quarterback. It's really
That's fair.
tough.
It is very close. Go ahead.
It's the same thing for me with Dak. I'm going to take Goff. I think they're in the same conversation. And if it was the end of the year, like, who knows? If Stroud keeps his pace, I'd probably consider it for sure.
What do you think, Dylan?
I'm going C.J. Stroud.
That's fair.
Goff is a game manager. Stroud is a playmaker.
That's what I think. That's what I think. Really, the difference is.
Yeah, put Stroud and Jahmyr Gibbs and Amon-Ra St. Brown and
That O-line, you could even say.
Laporta.
Yeah.
Laporta in that defense, and they're doing big things.
Kind of like the Lions, like they kind of got like a mini Eagles thing going on. They kind of got a perfect system around Jared Goff. Do you agree?
Absolutely. I think if they can just get the right player in Jared Goff's position, I think they could be even better. Take that next step finally.
Can Hendon Hooker be that next step, you think?
I think they're going to have to go to free agency. I just don't know. I don't know what it looks like or who's coming up. I think they need a veteran quarterback, a veteran gunslinger, playmaker. I just don't think Jared Goff is the guy.
Yeah, like for me, it's no discredit to Goff. He's been put in a perfect situation, and he's done everything and a little bit more, I think, for this Lions team. And there hasn't really been a game where it's like Jared Goff lost them that game. The Seahawks in OT, you got in a shootout, whatever.
Baltimore's the other one.
Baltimore,
That's an outlier. That's on everybody,
but
to be honest.
everybody just didn't show up,
Yeah.
right? They just got ran out from the first minute, and then is those the only two losses?
7-2.
So yeah, and then like I said, if he lost against the Chargers, the defense,
Yeah.
it was on whatever defense lost the game. So yeah, for me, I'm just gonna go C.J. Stroud just because of the playmaking ability. He can get outside the pocket a little bit. He can make those heavy play action, misdirection, throw it across the field like we saw in Cincinnati. Goff can do that, but as C.J. Stroud obviously is younger and gets better, I feel like going on from especially now further into the future, I would rather have C.J. Stroud, but it's definitely very, very close. So yeah, you said the Lions need to go get a veteran gunslinging playmaker. What are some like options that come to your mind? Because I'd like to hear those.
Do they take a flyer on Kirk Cousins?
Do you think that's a veteran gunslinger compared to Jared Goff?
I think that Kirk Cousins is a better quarterback than Jared Goff.
Who else? Because like, are you talking like veteran gunslinger that can just throw, or like can use legs as well?
Why did they need a new quarterback?
I don't think Jared Goff is the right guy. He couldn't do it in LA.
He went to the Super Bowl.
They didn't.
Thank you, Steven. Appreciate the defense.
They needed Matt Stafford to win the Super Bowl, who was the veteran gunslinger. It's the reverse now.
That's fair. I just think that obviously Goff going to the Super Bowl, he did do his job too, but he also played behind a crazy defense. What was the score of that game? Like 9-3, or some low.
Ridiculous. 12.
Yeah.
Was it 12 something?
Something like that. Obviously, he didn't perform the Super Bowl, and that's why in the future they had to look at that, right? But obviously, I think Jared Goff could honestly eventually lead the Lions to a Super Bowl. You're gonna have to beat the Eagles or the Niners. That's really it. But it's gonna be definitely hard. But if I told you in the next 3 years, if Jared Goff could keep it up, eventually I think they're gonna get to one. Eventually, the team's just way too good around him, but I don't know if it will be the defense that just holds them down. They can't keep getting into these shootouts like the Chargers, because if you get into a shootout like that against the Eagles and the Niners, they're gonna get one stop.
Yeah.
That's the huge difference, because the Chargers, we know, they're just a walking headache to watch week in and week out because Staley somehow is still the coach there. Should Staley be gone, Dylan?
Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah, he's got too much talent that he's just wasted.
Speaking of kind of contenders here, which team do you trust more to make the Super Bowl? The Miami Dolphins or the Dallas Cowboys? I'll start with you, Jay.
Ooh, that's tough.
So both of these teams, I just want to reiterate, they're known for this year beating up on the bad teams, and the big games they come to, they just don't really show up. They have the Super Bowl level talent, but against the good teams, it just seems like they can't show up. So who do you trust to go to the Super Bowl? The Miami Dolphins or the Dallas Cowboys more? Obviously on respective conferences. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think for me, I think I'm gonna lean Miami. I just think that they've stuck close in the big games. I think the Cowboys, they got packed by the Niners. They haven't really proven to beat any good teams. I mean, you could say the same for Miami too.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I trust their coaching more. I trust their offense more.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously they didn't have Ramsey for half the season. That's a big leader on defense that you get back to.
Yeah.
So I think I'd have to go with Miami.
Go ahead, Joey.
I'm going to go with Miami as well, just because I think their path to the Super Bowl, although the AFC's like stacked, I think like the best teams are in the NFC.
You think they're on the same level though in the AFC?
Yeah, like they can get in a shootout with them, and I think with Tyreek Hill, Waddle, like
They could
you're
just
gonna
run
beat
free.
a team by like scoring points. Like with the Cowboys, you're gonna run into the Eagles and the 49ers probably in the second round or the divisional round, and they haven't proven to beat them. So I'd go lean with the Miami Dolphins.
What do you think, Dylan?
I'm going the Dolphins as well, as much as that pains me to say it.
Wow.
For what Joey said, I mean, they got weapons. Jalen Ramsey. A lot of people are forgetting about Ramsey. They've got a stellar defense. They've got Chubb on the D line. They've got some talent for sure. Cowboys, I just can't trust the Cowboys.
Before I go to you, I'll ask you, Steven. I'm kind of surprisingly going to go the Dallas Cowboys. They were my Super Bowl pick, them versus the Bengals in the Super Bowl. I'm just going to go the Cowboys. I think that this team can kind of break through. CeeDee Lamb, obviously, is playing at a historic pace right now. Dak Prescott's playing out of his mind, but once again, it is the regular season. It's just going to be the Dallas Cowboys defense. They've kind of been sleeping a little bit since like week 2 or 3. Hopefully they can break on the scene come playoff time, but it will just be for them to get one super crucial turnover and then Dak to just manage a game with a good run game. Brandon Cooks looks to be a huge boost alongside of CeeDee Lamb. So I'm just going to trust the Cowboys just because, honestly, I don't know who I'd trust more, Dak or Tua, but I just think that the defense can rely on getting a stop more than Miami and kind of changing the game in that aspect. What do you think, Steven?
All I gotta say is, here we go. I think it's the Dallas Cowboys all the way.
Are you a Cowboys fan?
Yeah, I'm loving the Cowboys.
Wow.
CeeDee Lamb, I think, is the best wide receiver in the league right now. He's playing like his stats are like that.
Yeah.
Echo everything you said about Brandon Cooks as well. He's having a dual threat option, opens up the field for 88. And the run game as well. Like Tony Pollard getting the ball even more this year is helping out. And yeah, you can't discount they're pile driving teams right now. I know the Dolphins have done that, but I think the Cowboys have come to play against better teams more often than the Dolphins this year. So I think both teams are obviously going to be relying on their offense. I think the Cowboys got a better defense, and that's ultimately is what's going to win in the playoffs. So I think the Cowboys are like all those other teams in sports where everybody's saying, is this the year? But I think this might be the year. So
okay.
Yeah, Cowboys all the way.
Yeah, I'm really banking on that defense to kind of make a game-changing play, force fumble, huge interception. Obviously, they don't have Trayvon Diggs, maybe their second best playmaker on defense, but still nothing less. Gilmore, Micah Parsons. You got DeMarcus Lawrence there. Leighton Van Der Esch is out for the year, but you still got a couple other guys there. Javon Curse. Deron Bland has actually been huge for the Cowboys, filling in for Trayvon this year. So yeah, I'm gonna go the Cowboys. You two got Dolphins.
Yeah.
Dylan, you got the Dolphins, and Steven, you got them Cowboys, I guess. And is there anything else you'd like to mention here, Dylan, about NFL before we talk a little bit about some NBA?
I got one comment on, not the NFL, but I was sitting at one of my favorite local restaurants last Sunday morning? Saturday morning?
Saturday morning.
Last Saturday morning with my beautiful fiance, and we were joined at the table by the one and only Alec Frengos.
Yeah.
He was showing off a futures bet, and I just wanted to ask him how that futures bet's looking.
Well, The futures bet, you could call it dead. You could call it
Tell the audience who's on the futures bet.
All right, so there was a parlay placed for the Texas Rangers to win the World Series, which hit. The Cincinnati Bengals to outright win the Super Bowl. You don't count out Joe Burrow. That's always a possibility. NHL Carolina Hurricanes, they're a strong, deep team. Could make a playoff run. Why not throw them in there? Throw them in there. NBA, you go to the NBA. We got the Sacramento Kings, kind of a team that broke out a little bit last year. Okay, make it past the first round. Maybe give me a little cash out option. That looks good. And then you go to the last leg, and
people were calling them the greatest team in Canadian Football League history.
And then I decided to throw in the Toronto Argonauts of the CFL. Like, I'm not here to absolutely trash Canadian football, but number one, I'm not for the CFL. I think it's nowhere close to even the XFL, USFL, and clearly not the NFL. I think that Canadian football, the rules are stupid. I think you agree with me here, Dylan. The rules are just absolutely atrocious. And having a team come into the playoffs as a minus to win outright, I look at it. I got it at plus 200. I look at it. I go, oh, okay, this should be pretty easy. I'm going to turn on the Argonauts versus the Alouettes, and they're going to walk them down, and then I'll go on with my day. They end up losing it. Chad Kelly is nowhere close to Jim Kelly, which is a proven fact now. That was his one shot to honestly maybe land a practice squad in the NFL, I felt like, if he really dominated that playoff run. And I don't even know much about CFL. It's just off common sense instincts. So one rule, number one, don't bet the CFL because it's total horseshit. And number two, don't watch the CFL because it's as worse. I'd rather watch horse racing than the CFL. And I don't think it's a ridiculous take. What do you like? Obviously you brought that up, and yeah, that futures parlay died. $10 to pay $3 million. Would have retired myself. I would have never had to work again in my life. I could have been a dropout of school, and I could have just lived my life. But what do you think you're doing?
I thought it was hilarious. So safe to say you will not be watching the Grey Cup this weekend?
No. I don't even. Number one, I don't even know when it is. Number two, I'd rather study than watch for the Grey Cup. Number three, I'd rather read a book than watch the Grey Cup. And number four, I'd probably rather go have a walk in nature than watch the Grey Cup. Will you be watching it? I don't even think you get it in New Jersey.
No, we might get it on the NFL Network. They usually play it, but I don't think I'll be tuning in, unfortunately.
No.
Last thing I just wanted to quickly touch on, obviously a bit of a younger audience, but I think if you're of legal age to sports bet and able to bet responsibly, the Bills at plus 2,500 to win the Super Bowl is a bet that I really like.
What do you think, Jay? Obviously being able to bet responsibly.
Yeah, I'm a big gambler myself. Me and actually I can't say that.
No, just you.
Just me.
He likes to toy
Totally
around
just
on
me.
his whiteboard to draw fake picks.
Yeah.
But I think it's worth a shot. Might as well. It's worth a sprinkle, I'd say.
Who's an NFC team you would put your money on that's kind of a long shot, Dylan?
NFC team that's a bit of a long shot right now. I mean, I love the Josh Dobbs experience, but I don't think he's going to be able to get there. The Eagles look like beasts. I liked Jameis on the Saints.
Please.
I liked him coming into the game. But, I mean, you got to go with the Niners or the Eagles, but
That's more clear-cut, I feel like, right?
I don't know if there's an underdog in the NFC. I mean, the Cowboys have to be the biggest underdog
I agree.
in the NFC, so you got to go with them.
Yeah. Obviously, I think it's a three-man race, Cowboys, Niners, Eagles. I don't really think any other teams... Well, Lions. Oh, you see the Lions as an underdog?
Oh, the Lions are nice, but I don't think they can quite get there.
I just don't think the defense can hold up. Obviously, could CJ come back for the playoffs or no?
He'll be back in 2 or 3 weeks, I think.
Okay, so that's a little bit of a boost. But I don't think this this team will be able to get stops at the end of the day. And unless this team puts up 40 like they did against the Chargers, I think it's going to be super hard to beat one of the, or maybe two or one of the Niners, Eagles, 49ers. You agree?
Yeah, I do.
So moving on to the NBA here, we're about a month in, 5 weeks in. Who's the best team in the NBA right now upon your evaluation? I'll start with you, Joey.
I don't think this is... Actually, there's two teams that I think are up for considerations, the Nuggets and the Celtics. But I'm going to go with the Celtics just because I think they do have the best starting five in the NBA with Tatum, Brown, Holiday.
Clear.
Like, they play good defense. They have a good system there, and I think
could all
they work.
shoot.
Yeah, and they work well with each other.
Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the other team that you said. I think the Nuggets are the best. I just think that they have experience under their belt. They got the same guys. They're running it back. They won last year. Jokic is only getting better. They're playing without Murray right now, and they're beating good teams.
That's what I was gonna say.
They're such a good team. They play such good team basketball.
I agree.
And it's just insane, the talent. I feel like they've elevated a lot of players, and they've almost revived a bunch of careers there. Like Aaron Gordon, he was nothing before coming to Denver. Mm-hmm. Caldwell Pope, you could say the same. He was bouncing around the league, and I feel like he's found his spot.
Got the ring with the Lakers, and then kind of this is the very definitive role, though.
Exactly. So yeah, I like the Nuggets.
Yeah, although I do like the Nuggets, I think that you just have to go the Boston Celtics. This team is literally blowing teams out of the water.
Yeah.
Like night in, night out. They've had a couple guys in and out of the lineup, but this team's been healthy as well, despite having a Porzingis that's slightly injury prone. Tatum and Brown seem to be in and out of the lineup a little bit. But you look at this team, Drew Holiday, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum. Is it Derek White or Al Horford? And then Porzingis.
I think it's Derek White.
It's a super dangerous lineup, and I think
stupid at the buzz cut, by the way.
I think if the Celtics can get in fully healthy,
There's no hair.
They're a force to be reckoned with in the playoffs. Thoughts, Dylan?
Honestly, fellas, I don't really know much about the NBA. I just like to sprinkle a little responsible money on the NBA, use some picks I see online. So I'm going to drop off. So thanks, Alec, for having Steve and myself on the show. Price Brothers, always a pleasure. And maybe we'll have to get an episode before the playoffs start.
Yeah, hopefully the Bills are in that playoffs. And any last words here? Bills, Jets, Highmark Stadium, 4:25 p.m. start here. What are you expecting?
A Bills team to come out hungry, emotional game. Bills blowout victory. The Bills will split the games. They'll go 1-1 Jets. They'll lose to the Eagles in a close game. Bye week, run the table, make it into the postseason team, and make a splash.
All right, and Steven, also 4:25 p.m. start. America's Game of the Week, Cowboys in Carolina. What are you looking for in that game?
I think it's going to be more of what we've seen. I think it's going to be a steamroll. I think if you've got CeeDee Lamb on both of your fantasy teams as I do, you're going to be looking good for the week. And, I think the Cowboys are going to be looking pretty. I think Dak and CeeDee are going to be sitting on the bench with about 10 minutes to go in the fourth quarter with a 35-point lead.
Wow, okay. Yeah, like it was against the Giants. I got Brandon Cooks in my league that I need a must-win in. Is he going to have a big game?
Yeah, I don't think he's going to go for 180 reception yards like he did last time.
Yeah.
But I think that's a sign of things to come where you're going to have a good wide receiver 2 option in him. So, yeah.
All right, that's fair. Thanks, guys, for joining the show.
Awesome. Thanks again.
See you later.
Thanks.
See ya.
Yeah.
See ya.
All right, so moving more on to the NBA. You think even as a Nuggets guy, you kind of got the Celtics.
Yeah.
Nuggets. I think saying Nuggets is completely fair though. They're reigning champs, right? And they're still winning games without Jamal Murray, who's probably, if he stays healthy, he might have been an All-Star, might have not been. Who knows? Because they like to give the champs that respect. So, yeah, for me, I'm gonna go with Celtics. That starting lineup looks unbelievable. And you got guys coming off the bench. You got Pritchard. He's getting more minutes. He's kind of making some shots. Sam Hauser's kind of making some shots. So it's kind of weird. Everybody's just playing good. They're in such a groove. But if this sustains come playoff time, I don't see them choking again and kind of blowing anything. This should be an NBA Finals appearance. Unless I kind of take that back. Unless the Milwaukee Bucks will figure it out, get the chemistry right. Dame and Giannis as the duo we all expected. Dame could kill people in the playoffs, right? We've seen a lot of these really stacked teams get killed by a really good duo. So we'll see what happens. I really want to see Dame and Giannis get figured out here. Obviously, being somewhere Dame for like 10 plus years, it's going to be a huge change of scenery. But yeah, at the end of the day, I'm going to go the Boston Celtics for now. So moving on to tonight, Thursday Night Football tonight, Ravens, Bengals. Who's getting in the end zone?
I think I have to go Jamar Chase since Humphrey's out. I don't know who's going to stop him on the Ravens
It's going to
team.
be probably Yasin.
Yeah.
That's all I got. Hamilton over top with Marcus Williams.
Yeah, I don't think anyone will stop him.
And one thing maybe the Ravens might implement here, you can maybe see they might play deep here, not allow any deep shots, because you got Roquan Smith and Queen that have been playing outstanding this year to kind of help with the run game as well. Mm-hmm. So having 4 guys up front with those guys coming downhill on a run, I think you kind of worry less about filling the box to stop the run, because the Bengals, they're not a crazy effective run team.
Yeah.
And Joe Burrow's going to be looking for Chase early. First drive, I'm expecting a Chase screen, Chase hitch. Just get him the ball more right away. Get him super, super involved. Who's getting in the end zone?
Jermaine Pratt, defensive. No, I'm just kidding. Ooh. I'm going to go, I think Lamar will get a rushing touchdown. Not much to be said.
No,
I think the problem, though, with that team is that they have 3 running backs, so it's so hard to bet, because they got Keaton Mitchell, Gus Edwards, Justice Hill.
They only use Gus Edwards, really.
Yeah,
Justice
he's more sort of the goal line back.
Speaking of my pick, you could just see it happening. Gus Edwards, Ravens are on the 4 to 1 yard line. Gus Edwards, halfback dive right up the nose of those Bengals defense. Not much you can do. It's a touchdown for the Ravens. I'm going to go Gus Edwards, Jamar Chase, Jermaine Pratt / Lamar. For long shot for me, we've been seeing a lot of them in primetime. Devin Duvernay, kick return.
Oh, boy.
Any special teams touchdowns today or no?
Probably not. We've seen a lot, so it's probably not going to happen.
Anyways, that's going to do it for episode 30 of the Alec Frengos Show. I hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll see you next time.